So what is Gucci, my fam? It is your boy Garage Gaming here, and so in continuation of the previous video, today we'll look at another tank guaranteed to be introduced when the French ground forces come to War Thunder. The tank in question is the Atelier de Construction d'Issy-les-Montagneux-13, or AMX-13 in English, so get used to me saying the AMX acronym. I'm not sure how I've written the script too well, but yeah, I think I'd play it up or, change things up a bit. I'm not too sure, I'll have to check later on. Although in French service the vehicle was called the Char 13T, it will probably be more well known in game as the AMX-13, simply because, like, for example, every German tank in the game has a Sonderkraftfahrzeug designation, so that's SDKFZ, and they were numbered by like hundreds. So I think SDKFZ 300s were something, and then SDKFZ 400 series was something. So, but we call them the Tiger 1 and the Tiger 2, so I doubt that they'll be called the Sharp 13s in the game, so yeah. So moving on, the AMX-13 light tank has its origins in two main areas, the first being an array of post-war French tank development revolving around oscillating turrets packing heavy guns, namely the AMX-50 and the Lorraine 40T. The other is the French adoption of the German practice of using lightly armoured cars mounting large caliber AT guns. The vehicle in question is namely the SDKFZ 234-4. The combination of these two factors saw the development of a 13-ton light tank that ended up being the most successful French and Western European tank in service, with some 7,700 being produced, many being exported and serving effectively, some even serving to this day. Of course, in-game this would lead the tank to be highly adaptable, small, lightweight, yet combat effective due to its drum-based autoloader. Think of a Hellcat that could rapidly dump multiple rounds into multiple unaware targets, then scoot off very quickly. Each drum held 6 shots each and allowed for a rate of fire of 12 rounds per minute before a lengthy reloading period. Of course, the turret may also be highly trollish since it is angled strangely. Of course, they would be extremely weak to gunfire and highly vulnerable to CAS, the large ammunition bustle at the rear being a prime target for aircraft 20, 23 and 30mm cannon fire. The initial variants could top out at 60 km per hour, provided by an 8-cylinder 250 horsepower engine. So moving on again, talking variants, this tank has many variations, so I'll try to cover the ones that will likely be in a single light tank line. Special variants and premiums will come after this segment, so yeah. The initial variant of the vehicle would likely be the AMX-13/FL-10-1, aka the AMX-1375. This model came into service in 1951 and uses a high-velocity 75mm gun, firing 12 rounds in a minute before requiring a reload. This vehicle would be likely a 6.3 or a 6.7. Its performance is similar to the M41 Walker Bulldog, albeit it is much lighter, faster and smaller. The variant afterward would likely be the AMX-1390, an upgrade to the base tank, as in real life the AMX-30 had not been introduced yet, and the Russians were packing tanks like T-54s, and they had 100mm guns and quite thick 100mm sloped frontal plates, and just better turret armor in general. They needed a bigger gun to, punch at higher weight class, if that makes sense. So the tank features a much more powerful 90mm gun and would likely sit at the 7.0 to 7.3 range. The vehicle also features additional armor packages the French developed for this tank. Now, here's my question though. I'm not sure if that would be entirely relevant to a light tank, because the vehicle already has barely any armor to begin with, and when you add on armor, you're reducing the speed of the tank might stand out a bit more, and in general I think it'd just be a bad idea to equip that on a light tank, but then again, to each their own. I'm not sure what people would want. And additionally, I'd also like to point out that I didn't exactly research the different what am I looking for? I'm saying too much. The different shell so when the gun sizes on these tanks go up, I haven't looked up whether the ammunition capacity, it would obviously go down, but I'm not sure as to how much it is, so I'm not sure if it's now a 5-round drum on a 90mm gun or something like that. I have not looked it up at all, so if you're interested in that information, I'm sorry I didn't look into it, but I would assume that as the gun caliber goes up and the shell sizes increases, that the autoloader's capacity decreases, so That's just what I wanted to point out there. And so most likely coming after this vehicle, you will probably see a variant of the AMX-13 or the AMX-105. As the name suggests, it would just be an AMX-13 equipped with a very powerful 105mm gun, and I would assume that this vehicle would sit at the 8.0 battle rating range simply because, you know, something that small but with a gun that powerful would just be quite dangerous to any flanks, any exposed lines. That thing could just come up and then pop 105mm shells into your side. So, yeah. Also, from what research I've been doing, I think the gun fires a very similar shell to the AMX-13 with the it has a 400mm heat round as well, so I'm not sure if that's related to the Obus G or not, but yeah, I'd just have to find out. There is also a modernised version of the AMX 13105 called the Model 87, and it features a different hull armour configuration. It adds hydropneumatic suspension, a laser rangefinder, and adds an improved diesel engine. So that could be something you see up at the sort of rank 6-ish area. I could imagine, well, actually I could theorise that you'd add in a laser rangefinder as being like just a rangefinder that's always turned on. I'm not sure if that would be useful in the game or not, or if it was just a hyper-precise rangefinder. And then obviously the better engine would just allow for a higher power to weight ratio, and then the hydropneumatic suspension, well, it's a little light tank with a big gun, do with it what you will. So atop these line light tank variants, other vehicles also did exist, namely the AMX-13 DCA, equipped with either a single 40mm or twin 30mm cannons. These vehicles were replaced in history by the AMX-30 DCA, thus, you know, it would probably appear before such vehicles were introduced. And I completely forgot to mention in the script that these vehicles are SPAAs, obviously, so it would play similarly to the British Falcon SPAA with the twin 30mm cannons, but it would probably be a lot faster. You could control the fuck out of Russian tanks with this, I assume. And of course, many AMX 1375s and 1390s were also in real life equipped with the very powerful SS11 ATGM, already seen in game on the first Raketenjagdpanzer II. While manually guided, these would be highly lethal and would likely be a separate vehicle from the standard tank due to their specialization and power. Each one of these vehicles would carry 4 ATGMs. Now, there are many other domestic and international variants of this tank that would be interesting and usable in game, but only two sort of come to my mind that would make good either premium or reward vehicles, and the first would be the initial AMX-13 hulls equipped with M24 Chaffee turrets. These would be very fast vehicles that could bump around at the 3.7 to 4.0 BR range, and it'd be quite interesting to see how those would work. Another interesting variant would be the prototype fitted with 8 Euromissile HOTs, in 2 box launchers. So, to put this in perspective, the current Raketenjagdpanzer II HOT carries a single one of these 800mm penetration missiles, and this tank would carry 8 of them. Now, I'm not sure if they got it to work in real life, but, you know, I could imagine the players already screaming at this vehicle being introduced. It would just be ridiculous having that kind of firepower on a light tank. However, you know, it would just be interesting regardless, so yeah. Overall, I think these vehicles would perform quite favourably in the current meta of War Thunder because they're small, light, fast, big punchy guns on a lot of them, and considering how well the Hellcats perform at the moment, I think people would really enjoy these vehicles. I think they would be quite just dominating in any match where a team doesn't check their flanks. Of course, they're also highly vulnerable to gunfire, so I can imagine the SPAAs will be, you know, having a field day when these things get introduced, and a lot of unaware players just come out and get their asses kicked. So, yeah. I hope I've been of some service to you all in regards to how the French high tier will be introduced and how it will interact with the other nations. That's all I really have time for today, but I will have another few vehicles which we'll see a similar video analysis to this. I hope you guys have all enjoyed, so leave a like if you liked the video, dislike if you hated it, and comment down below any thoughts. If you're interested in more videos from moi, then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive video notifications when I upload. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, hope to catch you next time.
Allied forces have captured a zone.